Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Danielle. I am a maker, artist, designer living in the UK, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I talk about often, which is my hair. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be making some sculptures that I've drawn, made in a software called Nomad Sculpt, and then 3D printed, painted, and glossed. So I'm just going to be talking and walking you through my process. So yeah, that's all from me from now, and I'll see you in a minute. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am going to talk today about a topic that often comes up in a lot of discussions, and that's about hair. Now, for me personally, my background is of Caribbean descent largely, and as a result, my hair is a mix of afro and European hair. Growing up, the styles I had were always pretty much braided. My mum would always braid my hair for school, so putting in plaits and things like that. And I don't really remember too much about those times because I was too young to remember all the different details. But generally speaking, my hair would be plaited, either in lots of little individual plaits or divided into quarters. And then maybe I'd have some beads or things added to the ends. When I kind of got into secondary school, I started to do all of my hair myself, and I couldn't actually plait or cane row or do any kinds of fancy styles. So I mainly would just straighten my hair and tie it into a bun. Eventually, I got quite annoyed because my hair would often frizz up throughout the day and it would just get really messy. I'm also quite lazy, so it was really, really hard for me to maintain my hairstyle. And so what would happen is that I would end up with relaxers, buying different types of relaxers. And as a result, my hair would break because in the beginning I was using really, really strong relaxers that I think my actual hair type couldn't, it was too chemically intense for my hair type. And it just meant that my hair would snap or break. And so I could never leave it on for very long. And that was me just using like supermarket, drugstore, beauty supply store, brands, like the Just For Me's and Dark and Lovelies and those sort of things. And then I think because I realized that it was too strong, I was still using relaxers, but I switched to using Kid Relaxer, which still had the same effect of straightening my hair and was probably still too harsh, but wasn't quite as harsh as using relaxers for adult women. And during this time, I guess I just associated having like a natural hairstyle as being unkempt, I guess, because that's what I was taught, or just very difficult to maintain. For me personally, even my curly hair can be quite challenging because I have a lot of hair. I don't have a consistent curl pattern like some people have. And I also have a part of my hair back that is very, how would I describe it? Very coarse. There's like like a clump of hair that I call the tuft that is very, very coarse and is very, very difficult to manage. So sometimes what I would do is I would get really annoyed and I would just cut it. Like I would literally just cut the tuft out of my hair, and you couldn't actually see because where it was like right at the back of my head, and it wasn't very visible to anyone, especially because I often had my hair up. But even with it down, you just would never have known. But I'd cut that chunk out just to make it so much easier to manage my hair. So then I'm a young adult. I'm going to work every day. I need to ensure that I'm looking good, that I'm looking smart and professional for going to work. So I would frequently just sweep my hair back up into a bun or tie it back and just leave it like that straight. But because I was relaxing my hair, it never grew. It never grew past shoulder length, which was always really frustrating for me because the ideal dream was to have long hair. And I kind of just accepted that that was going to be it. So for all of my 20s, I pretty much only ever had shoulder length hair that was kept straight most of the time. And occasionally I'd have it curly, but if it was curly, that would last for all of one day. And then by the time I went to, bed, it was a mess. Bird's nest. And I didn't know all the tools and techniques to maintain and manage curly afro hair that was thick and would knot easily. So then what happened that kind of changed things for me was lockdown. So in addition to relaxing my hair, I'd occasionally started to use something called a Brazilian blow dry, which people always laugh at. It's basically a keratin treatment, and it lets you keep your hair straight for, I think, up to 3 months, as long as you don't get your hair wet. And basically, it's a form of chemical treatment. I don't know the details of how it works, but for me, it was really good because it didn't break my hair like relaxing, and it kept my hair straight, but it also didn't break my hair. And so I found this was really great for me to use. However, the only difference was that it's significantly more expensive than getting your hair relaxed. During lockdown, just before lockdown happened actually, I went and I got a keratin treatment, Brazilian blow dry treatment. Lockdown came in. Because we couldn't go out, because we couldn't go anywhere, I no longer had a need to keep my hair straight. I no longer had a need to do lots of styling to it. And so what I did is I kept it in what's called a protective style. And people go back and forth about what is and isn't good for your hair. Like, you shouldn't keep it braided. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And I always just feel like saying what is and isn't a bad thing. Like, at the end of the day, it's just hair. It's going to grow back. You can cut it, you can do stuff to it. You don't need to have this like high level of preciousness. And prior to COVID, there were a lot of things around like the natural hair movement and people doing the big chop and all of this. And none of that really appealed to me, mainly because I have a head shape that doesn't support having short hair. So it was never going to work. But I did my Brazilian blow dry treatment. I started just braid my hair during lockdown, and over the course of those 2 years, because I kept my hair in just a tied back braided hairstyle, my hair grew. I'd stopped relaxing it. All the old junk, all the old poorly damaged hair grew out, and I was able to get really nice hair as a result. And since then, my hair has grown and grown and grown and grown. I get it cut annually. I know that you're supposed to do it more frequently than that, but that works for me. And then that means that I can have long hair. So then, yeah, I guess what I'd like to, go into is, for me personally, I never felt like hair was as big of a deal as people made it out. There were all these rules about do this and don't do that, and you need to wash your hair this often, or you need to care for your hair this often. You need to do these rules. Don't tie your hair in this style. Don't pull your hair back too far. Wear this at night. I can only speak for myself, and I'll tell you what I do. So for me personally, low maintenance when it comes to my hair. I prefer not to touch it. I think it's better if I don't touch it. I wash it every couple of weeks. I should probably wash it more because my scalp starts to smell. So I need to maybe wash it maybe more like 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. It's difficult because my hair gets really dry. So, okay, let me go in order. So I wash my hair every couple of weeks. When I wash it, I tend to just straighten it, apply a bit of oil. I recently went away and I applied some olive oil to my scalp, and I actually think that was really good. Extra virgin olive oil. And I only did that because I had no hair care products. The only shop that had hair care products in it that was local to where I was staying was Lidl, and they didn't have, suitable things for my hair type. So I just put extra virgin olive oil on my scalp and I massaged it in, and that actually worked really well for my hair and actually helped me when it came to styling it and blow drying it. But ordinarily, wash my hair, condition my hair. I might use a Garnier. I might use Aussie. Although again, I've been told don't use Aussie because it has too many chemicals in. I really like Philip Kingsley as well. That's a really good brand. They're pricey on the pricier end, but they're really good for black hair. And I used to work in Selfridges, and that was where I first found out about Philip Kingsley, because there was a black lady there that used Philip Kingsley products. And when I previously went to Fuerteventura at the end of 2024, I used Philip Kingsley all the time, and it was really great for protecting my hair against like the water, the sea, the swimming pool. Anyway, let me go again. So, wash my hair every couple of weeks, shampoo, conditioner. If I feel like my hair's in a really bad condition, I'll use Olaplex, like the number 6. I sometimes use the oil, but for me, because my hair's so thick, I need a lot of the oil. So I tend to prefer using like a Garnier or a different type of oil. Then I straighten my hair. I like to blow dry first and then straighten, because I find that it gets softer. It feels a lot nicer when I blow dry it first and then just sort of go over it with a curling iron. I also don't like to use a curling iron when my hair's wet. So I prefer to blow dry, get all the wetness away after I've towel dried it, then straighten. And that's pretty much it. And then I will either have it sort of tied back or tied in braids or buns or a bun. And then that's pretty much it. And then at night, all I do for my hair is I sleep on a satin pillow. And I actually feel like that makes a huge difference in terms of breakage. I just make sure that the hairbands I'm using aren't too tight on my head. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My thoughts on hair is that we, as a society, obsess about it. And I know that it's very loaded. And I know that people feel like they need to have all these rules and regulations and da-da-da. But what's worked most of all for me is just not overthinking it, letting my hair grow like a wild garden, and then cutting it yearly. I do feel like the whole thing of like cutting it every 4 months or whatever is, I feel like that's like propaganda from hairdressers so that you go to the hairdressers more often. But yeah, ultimately for me, what's worked really, really well has been just having my routine of washing it every couple of weeks, tying it back and keeping it out of my face when I don't need to have it there. If I'm going to a special event, either put it down or just run a hair straightener over it to just keep it looking sleek. A bit of oil. Sometimes I use Blue Magic if I feel like it's getting really dry, which again, people were like, don't use Blue Magic because blah, 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 blah. Okay, but I literally had that since I was a kid. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I'm concerned about hair, there is no one size fits all. Everyone's hair type is different, so there shouldn't even be a one size fits all. Within the things that you use, you just have to try and see what works for you. There was a girl who was literally slating me on Twitter because I don't wash my hair every week. Meanwhile, her hair was maybe about 5 centimeters tall versus mine. And I'm not saying like her hair, like my hair's better or whatever, but I know my hair's good quality because hairdressers tell me all the time. So sometimes being a Neanderthal works. Sometimes being a bit, unprecious about things can actually have better results. I'm not ever going to be one to be chopping off all of my hair, and I'm not ever going to be one to be super fussy and following a super strict routine. It's just hair, and if it goes wrong, yeah, you can chop it all off and start again. It doesn't matter. And I think that the key thing is just to be able to make it work for you and to not get stressed about it. And then, because the worst case scenario now, if you really need to, if you really want to, is you can just throw a wig on, if you need to. Lots of people do that, or get extensions. So yeah, I'm just telling you what's worked for me. Minimal washing, minimal caring, satin pillow every night, and a bit of oil. And honestly, I feel like that's all you need. So that's it for me. Okay, that's all from me. I hope that you enjoyed watching. Let me know what you think in the comments if you have any opinion about hair, your hair, my hair, anybody's hair. I'm really happy with how these turned out. Got this one here, really nice, really glossy, really shiny, and also this one here as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching and let me know what you think.